Every single night, without fail, as soon as the lights went out, Jake saw it. A long, dark shadow sliding silently across the hallway wall. It wasn't just a regular shadow, the kind a coat rack or a chair might make. No, this one was different. It moved with a life of its own. It would stretch and shrink, like it was breathing, slinking along the pale paint until it stopped, right outside his bedroom door. It would just wait there, a tall, silent figure in the darkness. Jake, like any kid would be, was terrified. He'd pull his blanket up over his head, scrunching his eyes shut so tightly they ached. He'd create a little cocoon of safety, even though his heart was pounding like a drum against his ribs. "Please go away," he'd whisper into the warm, stuffy air under his covers. "Please just go away." But every night, it was there, a faithful, frightening visitor. The hallway, which seemed so friendly and normal during the day, transformed into a place of deep mystery and fear once the sun went down. Jake's imagination ran wild, picturing all sorts of monsters that could cast such a strange, living shadow. This went on for weeks. The fear became a familiar, unwelcome part of his nightly routine. But one night, something inside Jake shifted. He was tired. Tired of being scared. Tired of hiding. He decided he couldn't spend another night cowering under his blanket. With a deep breath that felt shaky and small, he made a choice. He was going to face it. He reached over to his nightstand, and his fingers closed around the cool metal casing of his trusty flashlight. He clicked it on, a bright, brave beam cutting through the darkness of his room. He swung his legs over the side of the bed, his bare feet touching the cold wooden floor. Each step toward his bedroom door felt like a mile. He slowly turned the doorknob, his palm sweaty. He pulled the door open just a crack and peered into the hallway. And there it was. The shadow. It was just as he remembered, long and unnerving. As he stepped out, the shadow reacted to his movement. Swish. It darted away from the door, shrinking and zipping along the wall. It was faster than he expected, more fluid. His heart leaped into his throat, but he stood his ground. He tightened his grip on the flashlight, the beam trembling slightly in his hand. He swallowed hard, trying to find his voice. "Hello?" he called out, the word barely a whisper. It sounded so small and fragile in the big, quiet house. He didn't really expect an answer. Who answers a shadow? But to his absolute shock, the shadow paused. It stopped its slithering and seemed to listen. A moment of pure silence hung in the air. Jake held his breath. Then a soft, shy voice replied, a voice that sounded like rustling leaves or a gentle breeze. "Oh, you can see me?" Jake blinked, completely stunned. The voice came from the shadow. It wasn't deep or monstrous like he had imagined. It was friendly. Confused, Jake lowered the beam of his flashlight, directing the light away from the top of the wall and down toward the floor. And that's when he saw it properly for the first time. It wasn't a monster at all. Standing there, pressed against the wall, was a tiny, flat, wiggly creature made of pure shadow. It had two big, curious eyes and was smiling a wide, gentle smile. It looked less like a scary monster and more like a cartoon character that had peeled itself off a page. The little creature gave a small wave with a shadowy hand. "I'm Shade," it said. "Sorry if I scared you. I get a little lonely at night when everyone's asleep." Jake stared, his fear melting away and being replaced by sheer wonder. You're not scary?" he asked, his voice now full of curiosity instead of fear. Shade let out a little laugh, a sound like faint chimes. "Well, I suppose I can be," it admitted. "But only if you're alone. Everything's a little scarier when you're alone, don't you think?" Jake thought about that. He thought about hiding under his blanket, feeling all by himself with the big, scary shadow in the hall. Shade was right. He clicked off his flashlight, letting the gentle darkness of the hallway return. He walked over and sat down on the floor, leaning his back against the wall right beside where Shade was. From that night on, the shadow in the hallway never felt scary again. It wasn't a monster. It was a friend. Jake would often sit with Shade for a little while before bed, telling him about his day. And in those quiet moments, Jake learned something incredibly important. Sometimes, the things that seem the scariest in the dark are just friends waiting for you to turn on the light. Thanks for watching.